What is up, Filmspiration Nation? It's your boy Edgar Ibarra. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing great. Everyone, if you haven't yet done so, please hit that subscribe button as well as hit that little bell. That way you're notified next time I make a new video. Because if you don't do that, then YouTube doesn't let you know when I make new videos. So please, again, hit that subscribe button and that little bell. That way you're notified next time I put out a new video for you. Today, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to walk you through one of my short films that I did probably about 5 years back to talk about how you can take your surroundings and build a story around that to then be able to tell a story on camera. So we're going to do a walkthrough on the short film called Between You and Me. But two things first. Number one, if you have not seen the film, I will be stopping and starting and stopping and starting. I recommend that you, if you've not seen the film, I will also be giving away secrets of the story. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video. That way you check out that movie first and then come back to this video. That way you can watch everything that I'm talking about with regards to how things were done, because with that context, you'll pick up a whole lot more in this video. So without, and another thing, I apologize for the audio beforehand, because when I was doing my setup here on my laptop or my tower and everything, there's, it's obviously tricky to get the video quality audio as well as my verbal quality, with the microphone that I did have, both into the same video. I don't know why. I'm working on that, so I apologize. The audio is not horrible, but it's not amazing either. But what matters more than the audio is the story that I'm going to bring you, the how-tos and the walkthroughs behind the scenes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and share this screen. First, you're going to jump on over into the Filmspiration YouTube channel. There we are. My YouTube channel, if you just go over here, it's Edgar Ibarra, E-D-G-A-R. Oh, if I could highlight that correctly. E-D-G-A-R-Y-B-A-R-R-A. And if you ever go down to the short and feature films right here, this playlist, you will find, if you just click one over, as you saw me do right there, the 15-minute and 4-second video, which is the movie itself. So click on that sucker, or you can also just do a YouTube search for Edgar Ibarra, Between You and Me, and there it is as well. So I already got it pulled up. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. So first off, graphics card right here. It starts off with the graphics card of Producciones Sequoia. Now, this was something that basically came from my mother. She wanted to start a tax company with the acronyms of her three sons, Eva, Cecilia, Uriel, Alberto, which are my two older siblings, and then myself, Edgar Ibarra, E-C-U-A-E-A, Equea Productions, except in Spanish, Producciones. The thing is that when you have to explain that throughout the years over and over and over again, and people thought that I was also associated to Ecuador, the country, because I know it sounds similar, then it's probably time to rethink your branding with regards to something more memorable, something a little bit easier to remember, which is why recently in 2020, I've shifted or pivoted to Ibarra oh my God, I can't even remember. Ibarra Films, my last name, Y-B-A-R-R-A Films. So Ibarra, that's synonymous with me. Films, it lets you know that I make movies, other video content, etc. So always think simplicity with regards to the, or something catchy, but not something that's going to be complicated that people cannot understand. So let's go ahead and jump into the film. I'm going to go ahead and move myself down here to the right. So had this graphics card made on Fiverr. Fiverr does great work. I didn't need anything more than the basics. And so it did the job. So here's the graphics card as we open with this. And this is the old Producciones Sequoia graphics card. Okay, so right there, let me make sure we're on HD, just annotations, kill that, and then let me move this up right here. 720, okay. 720 is the highest it goes right here. Well, at least on this video. So let's go ahead and jump into it and we'll talk about this next scene.
¡Salid, cabrones! ¡Yo tengo familia!
All right, let's watch that again.
¿Cómo te va? Déjeme salir, cabrones. Yo tengo familia.
Now, let's talk about that for just a moment. Let's go back to the title of the film. So this is a piece from the actual short film itself that I threw in on the very front end. The reason why I do that pretty often is to hook you in. It's the same reason why at the very beginning, the very, very beginning of every James Bond movie or all the Indiana Jones movies, they throw an action scene at you to throw you directly and immediately into the action to suck you in. And this is my version of doing the exact same thing. Who is this guy? Who's holding him? Why can't he leave? He says, let me go, you jerks, I've got a family. That is the character of Luis, and he is played by Julio Garcia, an amazing actor here in Tucson, Arizona. And that's why I put that in there, because I want to hook you in and show you something interesting, get you to say, whoa, what's going on? Who's this guy? You know, it's a tricky thing to do, especially in the genre of mystery / suspense, or really any genre, because you want to put something out there that's intriguing, but at the same time, you don't want to give it away. And so, because if you're going to give it away, then what's the whole point of watching the movie if people can, if you gave away the story? So, but that's the reason why I do that. It's basically to hook you in. So let's go ahead and keep on moving forward.
¿Cómo te va en la escuela?
Pues estoy batallando con las matemáticas, con las fórmulas que estaba hablando el profesor y eso.
Oh, sí, están un poco duras, pero nomás sigue preguntando. Para eso pagamos. No.
Sí, pero todo el tiempo fue mi debilidad lo de las matemáticas. Yo a tiro estoy bien burro. Sí, tengo mente de teflón, no se me pega nada.
Sí. No.
Okay, so we open up the film, and we've got actress Cali Hutchinson, an amazing actress here in the Tucson, Arizona area. When I had my my open casting call for actresses for this short film, Cali came in out of the blue. I'm not sure exactly where she saw the posting for the casting call. Comes in out of the blue and, just basically knocked my socks off. She's got amazing skill, amazing talent, and so it was very, very undeniable. When you have Cali's talent, her caliber of execution that she brings to the screen, it's undeniable, and you have to go with it. So there you go, and Cali is up on the screen. So another thing, in Tucson, Arizona, as you know, is the desert, just like in, as it's seen in a lot of television and movies. It is hot. It gets to like in Tucson, at least, it gets up to, a very hot and bad day is going to be 115. Usually it gets up to like 108, 109. And then here we shot this in January, I believe it was, and it was raining. So yes, it does rain in the desert. It actually rains pretty fiercely when it does rain. It doesn't rain often, but when it does rain, we get really good rains. And so, sometimes they're hot rains and sometimes they're cold, but here, this is a rarity. We recorded a movie literally in the rain. And so that is so neat to be able to have documented. And this right here is in front of the bus stop downtown. That's why you'll hear buses in the background and whatnot. So let's go ahead and keep on moving forward. So there's our main character, Luis, again. We reestablish him. We reintroduce the character of Alejandra or Alex. And then also there's Luis's classmate right here as they're chatting about how difficult school is. So that indicates to you, oh, these two are in school and she's waiting for the bus.
Pues estoy batallando con las matemáticas, con las fórmulas que estaba hablando el profesor y eso.
Oh, sí, están un poco duras, pero nomás sigue preguntando. Para eso pagamos. No.
Sí, pero todo el tiempo fue mi debilidad lo de las matemáticas. Yo a tiro estoy bien burro. Sí, tengo mente de teflón, no se me pega nada.
Sí, no, toma tiempo, pero vas a estar bien. Nomás sigue tratando. Sí.
Parece que hay un camión. ¿Te veo el lunes?
Órale, Simón.
Órale.
Fin de semana.
Sobres, igualmente.
Gracias.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the camera setup here. Let's first start off with the wide shot. So I like to work off of the very basics before I go into the complex camera work. So what I mean by that is that first we start off here with the wide shot. with all three of them in the frame. You can notice the space between Cali and the other two actors to indicate that they have nothing to do with each other off the bat. And so there's a conversation going on with the guys at the right. And then, so I always establish with the wide shot, or the master shot, as they call it many times. It's important to establish who is standing where in relation to what or who else. So they're standing apart from each other in relation to the bus stop. So you're basically establishing like what the space is like in your wide shot right here, right? And then so
¿Cómo te va en la escuela?
Pues estoy batallando con las matemáticas, con las...
Afterwards, we break down into the shot of the two guys chatting about, you know, how difficult school is and how that's going and yada, yada, yada. By the way, this film is in English. It's not entirely in Spanish. There's only Spanish here on the front end. Of course, you've got the subtitles at the very bottom. So then afterwards, after the second shot of the two guys.
Fórmulas que está hablando el profesor y eso.
Oh, sí, están un poco duras, pero.
Then we intercut into the shot with Cali, and she's kind of observing them, like what's going on over there. This, I've rarely ever shot with more than one camera at a time. And that's just out of habit, because by day I'm a news cameraman and you have one camera to work with, but you basically still have to tell a story. So it's not that I'm against shooting a multi-camera sequence or a scene. It's just that I am, on the other hand, personally very, very comfortable with shooting one camera as long as it's executed well by the actors and actresses. And also if it's set up to where it can make sense. And until, you know, so before in the past, I used to screw it up all the time with regards to the positioning of people. And, you know, once you practice the basics, once you get the basics down, then it's not too hard to do. So I'm very comfortable with shooting with one camera. 2 camera shoots are definitely good for things like music videos, maybe even 3 camera shoots, etc. It all depends on what your preference is. But again, the reason why I do this is because I'm very, very comfortable with shooting with one camera as long as the execution is done well. And the actors and the actresses, once again, do the scene not exactly the same, but hopefully exactly the same. But it's okay if it's not exactly the same. But as long as they do their scenes you know, the same every single time. And so I understand it's not going to be perfect and whatnot, but this is how you can take one camera and do a camera shoot, or a scene in this case, with 3 different angles, except you're going to have to do it 3 different times. So let's see. Luis's buddy takes off, and then the camera setup changes. So he takes off right here. Says, all right, cool, well, I'll see you later. And then he walks off. So then that leaves us Luis and Alex. Now, what I did is, versus shooting them straight on, as I did with this wide shot that I just showed you guys, if I can go back to it.
¿Cómo te va en la escuela?
So versus shooting them with just this wide shot, I go in now on the side from Luis, on her, and then over her shoulder to focus on Luis. Now, one of the things I wish I would have done differently in this setup was, I wish I would have had a really good tripod. I invested in a good tripod, and it cost me about $200. So, you know, it was a little up there, but really that's not an expensive price for a tripod. If you're comparing it to like the tripods that cost, you know, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000. I mean, you can go really high up. And so this is all shot handheld, and with a little eyepiece that, you know, that definitely had to be there, because I had to make sure that the colors were there and that everything was in focus. So I wish I would have had a tripod, but I worked with what I had. And in that case, it was my arms and my hands. And so I went over each one's shoulder. Now, the way we did the audio was, I've got actually the microphone right here. This is the microphone that I used to shoot the film. I've had this microphone since 1998. It is a Audio Technica ATR 55 telemic, and it does both. I don't know if you can see it right there. It does both tele and also wide. So basically, tele, you're able to go in and focus on somebody's voice with accuracy, and wide is exactly that. It gathers everything from around the area. So what I did was I basically set up the microphone to record, if I can stop knocking stuff over here, to record each of the actors individually. So what I had was a really, really colossal extension cord, and it's not even a 1/4 inch, but it's actually an 1/8 inch jack. So it looks exactly the way it does when you are, like for example, for your headphone jacks. And so I went from the microphone on a mic stand, holding that microphone pointed at the mouth of each of the actors. And then from there, a long extension cord that went straight into the camera. Let's talk about that for a moment. I like to make the audio go straight into the camera versus syncing it up afterwards. The reason why is because, I'm a cameraman for the news industry. I have been for about 17 years. And so what's very commonplace in the news industry is you are sending the audio directly from the lavalier microphone that the person is wearing directly onto the actual track itself. That way there's no syncing up afterwards. And I understand that, in classic filmmaking, you've got the slate and, which is good too. It definitely has its utility, obviously. My personal preference is, when I'm working with less people, it can be one less thing to do. I'm going to turn off that light. Okay. It can be one less thing to do. And basically it's one less step to do in the whole process. I did try making a few films where the audio was recorded separately. It sounded very, very, very good. But the syncing up took so much time in post. And so that's why I send the microphone, as in this case, I sent the audio through the microphone, through a long extension and directly into the camera. And for me, it works just fine. I leave the camera on automatic auto or automatic auto. That was a contradiction right there. I leave the camera audio on automatic, meaning when the audio goes too high, then it's brought down automatically. When it's too low, it's brought up automatically. Now you're gonna get, I do that also, again, because it works. It does its job just fine for me personally. And then on top of that, yes, you're gonna get a little bit more audio noise of the, like that air sound, not static, but air, right? So then afterwards you use a denoiser filter, you slap it on there. But let's go ahead and go back to the movie, to the positioning of, so the positioning of the actors. And, so that's how I did the audio for this scene right here. Microphones directly into their mouths, straight into the camera. And so the microphone stayed still and of course out of the shot. And what did move around was myself with the camera.
Pues estoy batallando
So
con las matemáticas, con las fórmulas que estaba hablando.
So a friend walks off and then she kind of looks to see like, hey, who's this guy? Because she's got a question.
Excuse me, how, como?
That's okay.
So if you notice right here, I'm not, as I'm over Julio Garcia's shoulder shooting Cali, I not only have to, take into account also, her shot and her framing, but we've got these colossal, like they're pretty apparent. They're the umbrella poles. And so you just kind of had to work around that too. The microphone, by the way, was also covered by an umbrella because there was a steady rain all that day. So it was a beautiful rain, but it was very challenging to work in.
Where do you need to go?
So right there, as you can see over Cali's shoulder, shooting Julio, his face kind of sways out of the way. So he's also not in the way of the umbrella right here. So
The new student housing at 22nd and Campbell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So now here, they start to develop a relationship because she's literally asking like, hey, what bus do I get on? She's new in town, he's not. And they discover a lot about each other. That she's going to the university for architecture, and that she discovers about him that he's a widow. He's got a daughter named Flower, and so here's where the romantic aspect or element starts to come in. And by the way, there's never even one kiss in this movie. It's all chemistry done by these two amazing actors, Julio Garcia and Cali Hutchinson. So yeah, it's not that type of movie. It's about you know, basically the chemistry that buds between two people. And so then they chatted up for, you know, the next few minutes right here. Let's go ahead and watch a few seconds of that.
Go number 7 east. It will go on Broadway and get off on Campbell. And then catch the number 23. It will go south all the way and go all the way to 22nd. And there it is.
So you can hear, let's play it again. Watch. Here's what I want to point out. I want you to take a listen to the buses in the background.
Go number 7 east.
You can
It will
actually,
go on Broadway.
you can actually see a
Where do you
bus
need to go?
leave
The new
behind
student
Julio in the
housing at
background.
22nd and Campbell.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go number 7
There's the
east.
bus in the back.
It will go on Broadway and get off on Campbell. And then
No, my apologies. That was actually the Sunlink, which is our little train system that we have here in Tucson.
catch the
But anyway, you can hear the buses in the background. So they're being picked up, but the thing is the mic is just outside of frame and it's pointed right at Julio's mouth. So Julio's mouth is the thing, or I'm sorry, the audio source that is dominating the microphone, especially when the microphone is set to telemode and it's directional, or they also call it directional. His voice is going to dominate. So that's why I don't mind other noises like the bus, because they're very natural sounds that I then don't have to lay in post, like, you know, a bus or, you know, people walking by or stuff like that.
number 23. It will go south all the way and go all the way to 22nd. And there it is.
Is the drop off at 22nd and the new overpass?
That's right.
Good.
Yeah. It will go south all the way
Okay,
and go all
so
the way
right
to
here.
22nd. And there it is.
Is the drop off
Okay, so
at
what I did here also from each angle over Julio's shoulder on Cali and vice versa also over Cali's shoulder onto Julio was I got both a medium shot, which is maybe about right here, and then I went in just a little tighter, or what they would call a close-up. So this, you could call this Cali's close-up. And the microphone, so when you go in closer, a few things happen. First off, you don't want to use close-ups too often. I myself have been guilty of doing it, but then I notice afterwards and I'm just like, whoa, like maybe, you know, we don't need close-ups, but maybe we don't need close-ups that often. But there are a few benefits of close-ups. Number one, it really, you know, if the actress really expresses right here what's going on emotionally or mentally with them, then you can see. And so that's why they say in film versus theater, film lets you really have the camera come in intimately, and you can really express right here with your facial gestures, a pause, you know, you can really see the emotions come in on a close-up. And so another benefit is that the microphone, you see the frame right here on the left-hand side of the frame. Cali is standing probably about maybe 9 inches, maybe a foot from the microphone. So we're in really close with Cali with the microphone. So we're getting some good audio. Again, the audio is not perfect. Neither is the shooting, neither is the movie in general. But back to the audio is not perfect, but it does its job. It really does its job very nicely. I had only used this directional mic for a really long time, and then I started to experiment with lavalier mics, clipping the lavalier mics. Those are the little mics that you clip onto your shirt, as you see done in interviews for, you know, news reports and like 2020 segments, etc., things like that. And they pick up those little microphones pick up really good audio also. You just have to make sure that they're out of frame. So in a wide shot, a lavalier mic would be down here, of course, closer up for a close-up, as long as you're cropping it out of the frame. Up until this point, I was still using the directional mic, and it still did its job just fine too, as long as the actors didn't move. So that's what I have for you so far, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, here, let me go ahead and get out of here.
22nd and the new overpass?
Okay.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll pick it up at a later time. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and pick it up at a later time with Between You and Me. I wanted to start off with this film because this is personally one of my most beloved short films that I've made. And it's actually a really simple like short film in comparison to other ones that I've done. Simple in its structure, in the story, in the type of story, etc. But I love this film so much. I love Cali and Julio in it so much. They did such an amazing job. But I wanted to share this one with you guys first because I could show you like some of my earlier films, and trust me, those are really scary to watch. Not like the Sixth Sense type of scary, but scary as in like real, like you can really see how I was developing as a filmmaker. And so, it's like Robert Rodriguez says, every filmmaker has about 20 or so bad movies. I think that's the number, or whatever the number is. You just have to get those movies out of you. So what you see in those other films is the process of me learning as I show you some really rough work, but still though I never stopped doing it. So I kept on failing, but as they say, failing forward. So you keep on moving forward by making those mistakes, learning from them, and then on the next film, you get a little bit better because of the previous film's mistakes. And so I don't want to show you those movies just yet. I wanted to show you something. I don't want to scare you off, in other words. So there you go with that. But yeah, you guys, that's the beginning of Between You and Me. Like I said, if you've not seen that film, I encourage you to go ahead and go on over to my channel. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the description of this video as well, because there's so much that I can tell with regards to like how these movies come together, and with you guys with very little money. But my big thing has always been, yes, you need money to pay actors and feed actors. You should always pay and feed people. But in my opinion, what matters more is a good story. So for me, it's two things: story and character. And characters driven by, actors and actresses and how well they execute on those characters. So a long time ago, I made it my little promise to myself that those would be my two focuses and emphasis. So as we dive into, how I was able to, many times take my house here or the community here in Tucson, Arizona, to just see like, okay, I've got, this area and this thing over here in this location. What kind of a story can I build around that? And that's a lot of times I always had a story I wanted to tell, and I brought it in combination with the things that I had to work with, like locations. Usually if you have some friends that, have a location and that, would be cool in a movie, then write a scene about that, write a scene that takes place in that location. And it just gives your movie that much more production value. All right, everyone, thank you so much. If you have not yet done so, please hit that subscribe button as well as that little bell. That way you're notified next time I make a new video. And yeah, I'm gonna do a whole bunch more of these if you guys like them. Just trying out different things, trying to offer you guys value in different ways, shapes, and forms here on the Edgar Ibarra YouTube channel, also known as Filmspiration. Thank you very much, you guys. I love you. Adios.